Have you ever stopped to question what you really know about nursing homes? We hear so many stories, some comforting, others concerning. But have you considered that the decision to move into one might impact more than just your day-to-day comfort? It could shape your independence, your financial stability, and even your physical and emotional health in ways you might not expect. Today, let me introduce you to Helen. Helen is an 80-year-old woman whose life has been a tapestry of experiences, some joyful, others challenging, but all filled with lessons. Her story might resonate with you, especially if you've ever felt uncertain about aging or worried about finding the right care for yourself or a loved one. Through Helen's eyes, we'll explore the realities of nursing home life. We'll uncover the hidden challenges that often go unspoken, like unexpected costs, emotional struggles, and the subtle loss of independence that can weigh on even the most resilient individuals. But this isn't just a story of challenges, it's a story of empowerment and hope. Stay with us until the end, because Helen's journey doesn't stop at revealing the problems. She'll share insights and alternatives that could revolutionize the way you think about aging and long-term care. Whether you're planning for your own future or trying to support someone you love, these solutions could help you make informed choices that align with your values and priorities. Her story might even save you from making a decision you'd later regret, because the truth is, there's so much more to consider than meets the eye. And sometimes, the best answers lie outside the conventional options. So, are you ready to explore Helen's inspiring journey? Stay tuned, because the insights we're about to share could transform not just your perspective, but your entire approach to aging with dignity and purpose. Before we dive in, let's take a moment to reflect. What does aging on your own terms look like to you? Keep that thought in mind, because by the end of this video, you might have a whole new vision for what's possible. The truth about losing your independence. When Helen first crossed the threshold of the nursing home, she carried with her a mix of hope and trepidation. She had envisioned a warm, inviting space, a place where she could rest, feel secure, and savor her golden years without worry. "I thought it would be a cozy place," she said wistfully, as if trying to cling to the ideal she once held. "Somewhere I could relax, feel safe, and enjoy my later years with ease." But the reality she encountered was far from the dream she had imagined. At first glance, the nursing home seemed well-equipped and welcoming. The staff was friendly, the facilities appeared clean, and the residents seemed content. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, Helen began to notice the subtle ways her new environment was reshaping her life, and not for the better. A slow erosion of freedom. The loss of independence wasn't immediate. It crept in slowly, like a tide rising unnoticed until it overwhelmed. Small inconveniences were the first to surface. Having to wait for someone to assist her with tasks she had always done herself, such as getting dressed, brushing her hair, or even using the bathroom. At first, Helen tried to accept these changes as part of the transition. The help was necessary, she reminded herself. But over time, those small losses began to feel like heavy sacrifices. When you've spent your whole life deciding when to wake up, when to eat, or even when to step outside and feel the sun on your face, suddenly having someone else control those choices feels like losing a piece of yourself, she explained, her voice trembling with emotion. The routines she had cherished were gone. Decisions that once seemed trivial, like taking a morning walk or enjoying a quiet moment outdoors, were now out of her hands. An emotional toll. Helen's sense of helplessness began to take root. She described it as an emotional weight that grew heavier with each passing day. "I started to feel like a child again," she said quietly, as though the words themselves carried shame. "There was always someone telling me what I could or couldn't do. It made me feel small, almost invisible." Her self-esteem began to erode. Once confident and self-assured, Helen found herself withdrawing emotionally. She became more reserved, avoiding interactions and spending more time alone. The vibrant woman she had once been felt like a distant memory. "I felt like a shadow of my former self," Helen admitted. "Day by day, it was as if pieces of me were fading away." The sadness she experienced wasn't just fleeting, it was persistent, like a heavy fog she couldn't escape. It affected her mental health in ways she hadn't anticipated, leading to feelings of isolation and despair. Physical decline and a life slowed down. The emotional toll of losing her independence soon seeped into Helen's physical well-being. Back in her old neighborhood, Helen had been active. Every morning she would take a walk, feeling the crisp air on her face and exchanging smiles with neighbors. It wasn't just a routine, it was her way of staying connected to the world around her. But in the nursing home, even something as simple as stepping outside required assistance. "I stopped asking," Helen admitted, her voice tinged with regret. "It became such a hassle, for them and for me. Eventually, I just stopped going out." With less movement came physical consequences. Helen's strength began to wane. Her once lively body grew weaker, and the energy she had once taken for granted began to fade. "I used to feel alive," she said. "Now I just feel tired, sluggish, like I'm slowly fading away." The changes weren't just physical. The loss of her active lifestyle affected her mental clarity and overall resilience. The lively, independent spirit she had once felt trapped, tethered by an environment that didn't allow her to thrive. The ripple effects of losing independence. For Helen, losing her independence wasn't just about surrendering freedom, it was about losing her identity. Every decision that was taken out of her hands chipped away at her confidence and sense of self. "What I want people to understand," she said with quiet urgency, "is that losing your independence doesn't just mean giving up control over your daily life. It changes you. It changes how you see yourself, how you feel about the world, and even how you interact with it." The effects were far-reaching. Helen's emotional and physical health suffered. Her relationships with others became strained, and her overall quality of life diminished. A call to preserve dignity and autonomy. Helen's experience is a wake-up call for anyone considering the realities of aging and long-term care. Her story is a reminder of the profound importance of autonomy, of being able to make your own choices no matter your age or circumstances. Preserving independence isn't just about freedom, Helen explained. It's about dignity, well-being, and staying connected to who you are. Her journey challenges us to think differently about aging. It's not just about finding care, it's about creating environments where older adults can continue to thrive, maintaining their sense of purpose and identity. Helen's message of empowerment. Through her struggles, Helen has found a renewed sense of purpose. Her story isn't just about the challenges, it's about resilience and the power of awareness. "I want people to know they have options," she said. "There are ways to preserve your independence, to live with dignity, and to hold on to who you are. It's not too late to make choices that align with your values." Helen's story is a call to action, for herself, for those she loves, and for anyone who may one day face the same challenges. Let her journey inspire you to prioritize independence, not just as a convenience, but as a cornerstone of a life well lived. Because independence is more than a choice. It's a foundation for dignity, confidence, and living life on your own terms. The real cost of nursing home care. Helen has learned firsthand that the financial and emotional toll of nursing home care is a reality few families are prepared to face. While the decision to move into a facility often comes with the promise of safety and support, the hidden complexities of its cost can leave families overwhelmed and unprepared. "When I first arrived, I thought the cost would be simple, a fixed monthly fee," Helen shared, her expression clouded with the memory of those early assumptions. But that illusion quickly faded. The real cost of nursing home care is far from straightforward. Unveiling the hidden fees. At first glance, the nursing home provided Helen and her family with a detailed brochure outlining a base monthly price. It seemed manageable, even reasonable. However, it didn't take long for the hidden fees to surface. "There are charges for everything," Helen explained, her voice firm yet tinged with frustration. Extra help with mobility, managing medications, specialized care, therapy sessions, even something as basic as assistance with dressing comes with a price tag. What began as a predictable expense soon ballooned into a financial burden. Helen's daughter, tasked with overseeing the finances, was blindsided by the growing costs. "We were shocked when the bills started piling up," Helen admitted. "We had assumed insurance would cover more than it actually did. What wasn't covered became an overwhelming financial burden for my family." The weight of financial strain. For Helen's family, the costs extended far beyond the base price. Expenses that seemed minor at first, like toiletries, clothing, and transportation, added up quickly. Her daughter bore the brunt of these additional charges, often making difficult decisions about which services Helen could afford to keep and which had to be sacrificed. "My daughter found herself having to choose between things like personal care and small comforts that made life more bearable," Helen said, her voice thick with sadness. "Those choices aren't just difficult. They're heartbreaking. No family should have to make them." The financial strain reached beyond Helen, touching the lives of her loved ones in unexpected ways. Her daughter, once confident in her ability to support her mother, began to feel the weight of the mounting expenses. "It wasn't just the money," Helen explained. "It was the guilt I felt knowing my care was stretching our resources so thin. I couldn't help but feel like a burden, even though I knew it wasn't my fault." The emotional cost of care. The financial challenges were matched only by the emotional toll they exacted. Helen's daughter, torn between her desire to provide the best possible care and the realities of their financial limitations, often felt overwhelmed. "It's not just about paying the bills," Helen said. "It's about the emotional weight that comes with those decisions. My daughter worried constantly, wondering if she was doing enough or if she was making the right choices. It's a heavy burden to carry." For Helen, the guilt of knowing her family was making sacrifices to support her added another layer of emotional complexity to her experience. "You feel helpless," Helen said softly. "Helpless and sometimes even ashamed. No one talks about this side of nursing home care, the toll it takes on the family, not just financially, but emotionally." A call for transparency and support. Helen's experience highlights the need for greater transparency in the cost of long-term care. Families often enter this process with incomplete information, unaware of the hidden fees and unforeseen expenses that lie ahead. "I wish someone had warned us about what to expect," Helen said. "We might have been able to plan better or explore other options. Instead, we felt like we were constantly playing catch-up." Her story serves as a reminder of the importance of preparing for the financial realities of aging. Helen encourages families to have honest conversations about the costs of care and to explore resources that may help alleviate the burden. "It's not easy to talk about money," she said, "but it's so important. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be to make the decisions that are right for your family." A lesson learned. Through it all, Helen remains hopeful that her story can help others navigate the challenges of nursing home care with greater confidence and clarity. "Care shouldn't come at the expense of your family's well-being," Helen said with quiet determination. "There has to be a better way, one that honors the needs of both the individual and their loved ones." Her journey is a powerful reminder that the true cost of nursing home care goes far beyond dollars and cents. It's a complex web of financial, emotional, and relational challenges that requires thoughtful planning and compassionate support. Helen's story serves as both a cautionary tale and a call to action, a plea for families to seek transparency, advocate for change, and find ways to preserve dignity and peace of mind in the face of life's most difficult decisions. The impact of caregiver shortages. As if the financial strain of nursing home care weren't enough, Helen also found herself grappling with a growing crisis that many nursing homes across the country are facing: a severe shortage of caregivers. This lack of staff doesn't just affect the quality of care, it directly impacts the well-being of the residents who rely on that care every single day. "There were days when I had to wait hours for help," Helen shared, her face reflecting the frustration and helplessness she felt. Whether it was getting out of bed, using the bathroom, or simply needing assistance with daily tasks, the delays made me feel invisible, like I was just one more name on a long list of people waiting to be seen. The dehumanizing wait. As the shortage of caregivers stretched on, Helen's experiences became a harsh reminder of how quickly personalized attention can become a luxury in an overcrowded facility. Staff were stretched thin, juggling multiple residents at once, and Helen found herself at the mercy of the system, often waiting for what felt like an eternity. The system simply couldn't keep up, she explained. Even the simplest needs became complicated because the staff was spread so thin. It wasn't their fault, they were doing the best they could, but it wasn't enough. The consequences were far-reaching. On one particularly difficult day, after waiting too long for assistance, Helen attempted to move on her own. The result was an injury that only worsened her physical condition. "I tried to be independent," she said softly, the weight of the memory heavy in her voice. But when you're not getting the help you need, it can be dangerous. Accidents happen, and that's when things really start to fall apart. The ripple effect of insufficient care. Helen's injury was just one example of a larger, more troubling pattern. The lack of staff didn't only affect her, it took a toll on all the residents. Many were unable to receive the level of care they needed, and their health and well-being deteriorated as a result. Some residents needed more care than the overwhelmed staff could provide, Helen observed. And when that happens, people get hurt. Their health declines because the attention they need simply isn't there. It wasn't just the residents who suffered. The caregivers themselves were under extreme pressure, facing burnout and exhaustion. As the demands on them grew, the quality of care suffered even further. The burnout of overworked caregivers. Helen saw firsthand how burnout among caregivers became an all-too-common reality. Many of the caregivers she interacted with were physically and emotionally drained, unable to provide the personalized care they wanted to offer. "When you don't have enough caregivers, the whole system collapses," Helen said, her voice firm but filled with empathy for the staff. "And residents like me are the ones left to deal with the fallout." Caregivers, often juggling too many tasks at once, were unable to offer the support that Helen and others desperately needed. This made her realize just how crucial staffing levels are in maintaining the quality of care that residents deserve. A lesson in prioritizing care. Helen's experience taught her one of the most valuable lessons anyone considering a nursing home should keep in mind. Staffing is everything. No matter how well-designed a facility may be, if there aren't enough caregivers to provide the level of care each resident needs, the system will inevitably fail. If the staff isn't there, the care won't be either, Helen said bluntly, but with a wisdom that comes only from lived experience. It's as simple as that. The staff is the backbone of any nursing home, and without them, nothing else matters. Helen's story is a stark reminder that nursing home care isn't just about the facility or the services, it's about the people who provide that care and the support they receive to do their jobs effectively. Without sufficient staff, the residents suffer and the quality of life diminishes. For Helen, the shortage of caregivers wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a danger that affected her physical health, emotional well-being, and sense of security. Her experience underscores the critical need for nursing homes to prioritize staffing levels and ensure that the care provided is safe, effective, and compassionate. Families should be asking tough questions about staffing, Helen advises. It's not just about the building, it's about the people who are there to care for you. If they're overworked and underpaid, you can't expect them to give the kind of care you or your loved one deserves. Helen's story is both a cautionary tale and a call for reform. It's a reminder that quality care depends on quality staff, and that the human element of nursing home care should never be overlooked. The lack of individualized care. One of the most disheartening aspects of Helen's time in the nursing home was the lack of personalized care, an experience that many residents face but seldom discuss. "I felt like I was just another number," Helen confides. "Every day I was reminded that my care wasn't about what I needed, but about what the facility could handle. With so many residents to care for, the nursing home struggled to provide individualized attention. Instead of being treated as a person with unique needs and preferences, Helen found herself subjected to a routine driven more by efficiency than by actual necessity. It wasn't about her as an individual, it was about managing a large number of people quickly. It's hard to explain how it feels when your needs are treated as secondary to the system's convenience, Helen reflects, her voice laced with quiet frustration. It's isolating, and it chips away at your sense of dignity. Helen's story is a poignant reminder that the true cost of nursing home care isn't just financial. It's an intricate web of hidden fees, emotional stress, and systemic challenges that affect both the residents and their families. People need to understand the full picture before they make this choice, Helen says with urgency, because once you're in it, reality hits hard, and it's a lot more than anyone expects. The impersonal, one-size-fits-all approach. There were many days when Helen found herself asking for help with seemingly simple tasks, like organizing her medications or ensuring that her meals met her specific dietary needs. However, these requests often weren't treated as a priority. The staff always tried their best, but it often felt like they were following a one-size-fits-all approach, treating everyone the same instead of understanding that each person had unique needs and preferences. Helen recalls, her tone betraying the frustration she felt in those moments. This lack of personalized attention wasn't just Helen's experience, it was shared by many other residents, each of whom struggled to receive care that respected their specific health conditions, emotional needs, and personal preferences. The facility, in its attempt to manage a large number of patients, overlooked the individuality of each person's circumstances. The physical and emotional toll. The impersonal approach to care began to take its toll on Helen in both physical and emotional ways. I started feeling invisible, like my voice didn't matter, she admits candidly. I know my own body better than anyone else, and I could tell when something wasn't right. But when my concerns and requests weren't being addressed properly, it made me feel worse. Not just physically, but mentally too. It wasn't just about receiving the right medications or treatments. For Helen, it was about feeling heard, seen, and valued as an individual. And when that didn't happen, the consequences were dire. Not just for her health, but for her emotional well-being. Over time, the lack of individualized care contributed to Helen's declining health. She wasn't receiving the tailored care she needed, such as timely adjustments to her medications or access to physical therapy that could have helped her regain strength and mobility. The absence of specialized attention left her feeling more vulnerable and helpless. A call for personalized care. Helen's experience serves as a powerful reminder of the critical importance of individualized care, especially in environments like nursing homes. The needs of residents can vary so widely, Helen asserts. Everyone deserves to feel like they matter. When you're in a facility like that, it's essential that they see you as a whole person, not just another patient to be processed through the system. Without this personalized approach, residents risk feeling neglected and overlooked, and this can have long-lasting consequences for their health and quality of life. Helen's advice for those considering nursing homes. For anyone considering a move to a nursing home, Helen offers heartfelt advice. Take the time to understand how they approach care. Make sure they're willing to tailor their services to meet your specific needs, because that makes all the difference. Seeking alternatives. Home care and senior living communities. After enduring her challenging experience in the nursing home, Helen became determined to find an alternative that would allow her to maintain her independence while still receiving the support she needed. I didn't want to feel like a prisoner in my own life, she reflects. I wanted to regain a sense of control, to have a say in my daily routine, and to feel like I was living, not just existing. One of the first alternatives Helen explored was home care. The idea of staying in my own home, surrounded by the things I love, felt like a breath of fresh air, she explains. With home care, Helen could hire a caregiver to assist with daily tasks like preparing meals, managing medications, and helping with mobility when necessary. It was so comforting to have someone come to my house and provide the help I needed, she says, a smile playing on her lips. But what I appreciated most was that I could still make my own decisions. I could choose when to take a nap, go for a walk in the park, or invite friends over for tea. It felt liberating to have that level of freedom again. Home care proved to be a game changer for Helen, allowing her to receive the necessary support while staying in control of her life. However, Helen also discovered another appealing option: senior living communities. I found a wonderful senior living community where I could live in my apartment but still have access to support whenever I needed it, she shares. These communities offered the perfect balance of independence and assistance. Helen could enjoy a private, comfortable living space while benefiting from a range of services like group exercise classes, social events, and on-site health care. It wasn't like a nursing home at all, Helen says with a smile. It felt like being part of a vibrant community. I could participate in activities, meet new friends, and stay active, all while knowing there was help available if I needed it. Finding the right solution. The move to a senior living community allowed Helen to thrive in ways she hadn't thought possible during her time in the nursing home. She found joy in the companionship of her peers, rediscovered hobbies she had long set aside, and felt a renewed sense of purpose in her daily life. Reflecting on her journey, Helen has a clear message for others who might find themselves in a similar situation. Don't settle for a care option that makes you feel like you've lost your identity or your independence. There are alternatives out there, whether it's home care, a senior community, or something else that can provide the support you need without taking away your dignity. For Helen, the search for the right solution was worth every effort. By exploring her options and advocating for her own needs, she found a way to live her life on her terms. At the end of the day, she says, it's about finding a place or creating a situation where you feel valued, respected, and free to be yourself. Everyone deserves that. So what have you learned from Helen's story and her powerful insights about nursing home care and alternatives? We'd love to hear from you. Comment below with one thing you've learned and how you'll bring it into practice in your own life or when making decisions for your loved ones. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, please leave your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content that makes a difference. Your support helps us continue sharing stories and insights that truly matter. Thank you.